Today's workout is a 15-minute postpartum body weight strength workout. We'll work full body, no weights required. All you need is a mat. Let's get started. Hey mamas, welcome to today's 15-minute postpartum body weight strength workout. You don't have to be postpartum to do this one, but it is safe and great for postpartum moms, including C-section moms. No equipment, all you need is a mat. I love the one I'm using. Check the link in the description. I've got a discount code for you. All right, let's start with our first move. It's a narrow to wide squat. We're gonna work for 30 seconds, 10 seconds rest, 2 rounds of work. So feet just outside hips. We're going to a narrow stance. We're gonna squat down, and then we're gonna step 1 foot out, squat again. Let's do that again. Step back in, squat down, narrow, step wide, squat down. So we're gonna keep moving through this movement, just taking the feet out and in. So we're getting the quads more in that narrow stance and then getting the glutes a little more when we take the feet wider. Now from the side, you can see my hips are going back and down and my knees are pushing through the middle of my feet and my weight is in my heels, chest is lifted. Now we're gonna rest. 10 seconds, we're gonna keep moving. So it's shorter intervals, but we're gonna do 2 rounds. So now take your feet a little wider than we just started with that last move. We're gonna sit down in that squat and pulse. So pushing the hips back. Again, I want you to be able to wiggle those toes. And even though you're hinged forward from the hips, you can see I'm not rounding at my spine, I'm not dropping my chest. You want the legs to go back and down, right? The hips to go back and down. If you're just doing this, you're not really working into those quads and glutes. So staying low. If that's too intense, you can come up a little higher and you're still gonna feel that burn in the legs. But the lower you go, the more you're gonna get it into those quads and glutes. Rest now. We're gonna move to a backwards lunge into a little deadlift. So I'll show you this move from the side. Bring your feet under your hips. You're gonna lunge first. You're gonna step in and then reach toward the floor for that deadlift. Let's repeat that. So we do 1 lunge and 1 deadlift. So you're staying planted in that front foot. And then as you do the deadlift, again, you're pushing through that front heel, reaching toward the floor, letting that leg extend back. 90 at the knees in that lunge, and then reaching toward the floor. It's okay if you lose your balance, no big deal. And you wanna aim for a flat back here, nice neutral spine, chin tucked in. We're gonna do that same thing on the other leg. Now, I'll show you a modification. If that is too intense, I'll show you a way to make it a little bit easier on your balance. So we lunge. You can do a kickstand deadlift. So leave that back foot, the back toes on the ground, heel up. If you want to though, take it all the way into that deadlift. You might need to go a little bit slower just to get your balance, and that's totally fine. It's not about the number of reps or how fast you're moving. It's not a cardio workout, it's strength. So we wanna move slowly with control, making sure we keep that core engaged and good posture throughout. Rest. Next, we've got a lateral lunge. We're gonna alternate sides, so start in the middle and make sure, again, you have enough space to step really wide here, because the wider we go, the more we're gonna get into those hips. So we step out and in, other side, out. And you'll notice I'm doing just different things with my arms. It's not really precise. You can do whatever feels good. You can put your hands on your hips. You can put them out in front of your chest. I like to keep them here or here because that reminds me to keep my posture lifted. A little squeeze between my shoulder blades and just gently bracing my core throughout. Heart rate's naturally gonna go up when we're working those legs. All that blood's flowing, sending that energy to the heart. Now we're going to the floor. So push-ups with a back extension. You're gonna go wide with the hands. You can be on your knees or your toes. I'll show you from the knees first. We're gonna go all the way lower to the floor, reach arms overhead, pull elbows back, hands down, push all the way back up. Let's repeat that. So you lower to the floor, reach, elbows back, hands down, push. Core is engaged. Here is the move on your toes. You're gonna go all the way down, chest goes to the ground, belly goes to the ground, reach, pull those elbows back. Engage core, lift. It's challenging. All right, we're gonna move on now to a Renegade row with a reach. So again, I'll show you on the knees and then on the toes. So just like that push-up setup, same thing. You're gonna pull one arm back, reach forward, row, set it down. Row, reach, row, set it down. So you're pulling that elbow into your ribs, and then you're reaching forward, keeping that thumb up, and you'll notice your body naturally wants to shift Try to keep everything square to the floor as best as you can. It's tough, but great for the core, great for those stabilizers. All right, moving now to a narrow to wide push-up. So we're gonna keep the push-ups going, this time starting with hands shoulder width apart on the knees. We're gonna bring this elbow straight back for a narrow push-up, walk one hand out wide, now push up wide. Bring it back in narrow, elbows in, bring it back wide. So we're getting the triceps, shoulders, chest, and by now we really started to fatigue those shoulders, the upper body, so this might be challenging. If it's too challenging, bring it so your knees are closer to your body, and that's gonna make it easier, but you're still getting those arms, keeping those elbows in as best as you can. Now we're gonna go to a forearm plank, work that core, keep working the shoulders. So bending the bottom leg, extending the top leg, we're gonna lift the bottom hip, squeeze, pulling belly button to spine, and lift that top arm. We're gonna hold here for 30 seconds. So just focus on staying lifted through that bottom hip. Again, belly button pulls in and up, ribs come down, and we're engaged through those obliques. If you wanna take it to the next level, you can either scissor the legs or you can stack the feet like this, reaching up, again, staying nice and tight through that core. Isometric holds are so good for those core stabilizers. Rest. All right, we're gonna move to the other side, same exact thing again. Taking that deep breath, lift. If you're ready for it, you can go ahead, come up onto the feet. Make sure you're not rotating those hips too much. We wanna keep everything, again, square and stay lifted through that bottom hip so that pressure comes from the hips, the glutes, the obliques. One of my favorite exercises because it's gentle if you've got diastasis recti or core dysfunction, but it's effective for healing and then strengthening the core. All right, we're gonna go onto our back now for a glute bridge walkout. So we're going onto the back, feet close to butt. We're gonna drive those hips up, squeeze the glutes. We're gonna walk the feet forward and back, out and in. Switch the leg you lead with every time if you can remember. And you don't wanna walk out too far, right? Just a few inches out and in. If you notice your hips are really dropping, don't go as far out, but if you can, you could do a few more inches, maybe if you're feeling good. That's gonna give you a little more for the hamstrings. And rest. All right, we're gonna take a quick 30-second recovery. Grab water if you need to. We are going to repeat everything from the beginning. So back to the narrow to wide squat, legs first, then we're gonna hit that upper body again. So remember, narrow stance, we're gonna have good posture here and really get those legs. Again, you don't have to go as low as I'm going, but the lower you go, the more you will work those legs and get your heart rate up. Okay, arms out anywhere in front of that chest, let's go. Narrow squat, wide squat. So you know the moves this time. We're gonna work on that technique, that execution, see if we can maximize our reps. And that doesn't mean going faster necessarily, but if you can, push that range. So go a little lower, try to get your butt almost to your knees. And then focus on pushing through the heels, sitting back into the hips. So you should be able to wiggle those toes like I mentioned earlier. That's gonna ensure that knees stay safe. And then as well, you're gonna get that burn where you want it. All right, next up, pulse squats. Feet a little wider than hip width apart, arms up. See if we can stay down the whole time. Again, you might not go as low as I'm going here, but you can still pulse a little bit higher up, maybe middle of the range or top of the range. But keep going, we're almost halfway there. It's one of the hardest movements because that burn stays in the legs, but when you embrace that burn, when you push through it, that's when you start to see change. You've got to get those muscles fatigued to really change the muscle, to gain strength, to lean out. All right, moving forward, moving on to that backwards lunge to the deadlift. So bring the feet under hips. Again, stepping back, same leg goes back for the deadlift. So we lunge, leg stays down in the front foot, reach for the floor for that deadlift. Again, you can kickstand it, reach for the floor. And if you cannot touch the floor, that's okay too. I want you to come as far down as you can with a flat back. But you want that chin tucked, flat back, And your gaze should be about 6 feet in front of you as you move through this. And you're really gonna feel that in your front glute, that hamstring, that is the goal. But then that back quad is also gonna feel it a lot too. Rest. All right, same thing, other side. Again, think of this one especially as quality over quantity, really focusing on that balance and stability. Again, doing whatever feels good with your hands here. Doesn't have to be precise. Again, trying to keep your hips square. That will also help with balancing as well. If you try to open up your hips, you're gonna lose your balance and it's gonna feel really challenging. Pushing through that front heel, squeezing the glute as you stand up, bracing that core, and time. Okay, lateral lunges, again, make sure you've got a lot of space. That's why I love this mat. They make them in all different sizes, but it's big enough to where I can do all these movements and not have to worry about running out of room. So we lunge back and forth. And you can even reach down to the floor. I almost did that just naturally. It feels good to me. So if you want to reach for that inner foot, get a little more rotation. This is also a great way to release tension in the inner thighs, which when we hold tension there, can make the pelvic floor tight, glutes tight. So it's great if we can get a little extra mobility here as well. All right, back to the upper body, push-ups with the back extension. So again, you can do them on the knees, you can bring the knees in, or you can go up on the toes. I'll show you from the toes first. Lower down all the way to the floor, untuck the toes, reach, pull back, hands down, engage that core at the top. Here's on the knees. Lower down, slow and controlled, reach, pull back, hands down. Again, you can leave the knees down. But I want that core staying really tight. Nice work. Okay, going to that Renegade row and the reach. So you can, again, you can be in that quadruped position. You can walk the knees back for a little more core activation. So you're gonna pull back, reach, thumb up, pull all the way down. Again, trying as best as you can not to shift your body weight. We wanna do our best to keep everything square, keep that core nice and tight. That's gonna allow us to effectively work the upper body, and then again, strengthening those trunk stabilizers. So important for just overall mobility. It's just gonna make your everyday life easier. That's what a lot of these movements are about. And of course, strength, it's not bad to have physical or aesthetic goals, but functional goals are where it's at. All right, narrow to wide push-ups. On the knees, let's do it, narrow, and then one hand walks out, wide. Bringing that chest to elbow height every time if you can. Think of your body like a board. Your core, your hips, your chest drop down together and come up together. If you really want to go for it, take it to the toes. We're almost there. Push-ups always feel like the longest interval to me. Rest. All right, moving on to that forearm plank. So you know your options, keeping the bottom leg down. You can extend both legs and scissor, or you can take both legs and stack them. Where do you want to go? Take it there. Make sure you're lifted through that bottom hip, belly button pulls in and up. And as you can see, my heart rate's up. I'm starting to breathe more heavily. And again, that's not because we're trying to get our heart rate up. We're not aiming for cardio, but naturally, when you're doing some of these movements, working those big muscle groups, your heart rate's gonna go up too. And it's so important to build strength and have muscle mass postpartum and on, because that's what's gonna keep us strong. That's what's gonna keep us aging well, keeping us moving over the long haul, keep those metabolisms healthy, all those systems of the body healthy. Really activating that cord, reaching through that top arm. I always feel like it helps when I reach up, like someone's pulling me through that hand. If you need a little extra something, just picture somebody's holding you up, helping you through this, because we're so close to the end. Only one exercise left after this. And see, it doesn't take a lot. 15 minutes, you can get an amazing workout, full body. Let's hit those glutes, glute bridge walkouts. Again, driving the hips up, not too high. We don't want to feel it in the hip flexors. We want to feel it in those glutes and hamstrings. How far out do you want to go? As long as you're staying controlled and your hips aren't dropping too much when you take those legs out and in, you do you. Last couple seconds here. Done. There it is, 15 minutes. And honestly, it's the best 15 minutes you'll spend because you get all those benefits, strength, a little bit of cardio and metabolic boost, and then you don't even need equipment. You can do it with a napping baby in the same room. If you dare try that, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed today's workout. Again, let me know what other workouts you'd like to see. If you're interested in the mat, again, I don't advertise a lot of products, but I love this mat. I've got a discount code and the link to the exact mat that I use in my description underneath the video. Otherwise, let me know what workouts you want to see next, and be sure to check out my postpartum playlist for more postpartum workouts. I'll see you next time.